Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe, smash that like button, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to catch our next gripping tale. Your support means the world to us, and believe me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. I was halfway through sorting the month-end invoices when I heard it. The knock. Not polite, not tentative. A sharp, deliberate rap against the glass door that separated my desk from the rest of the office. I looked up. Standing there was Adrian Varela, my employer, the CEO, and the kind of man who never appeared in places without a reason. Tailored charcoal suit, dark tie, posture like someone carved him from stone. His arms were crossed, his expression unreadable. "Marina," he said, his voice calm but clipped. "May I see you in my office?" My stomach tightened. I saved my spreadsheet, straightened the small stack of papers on my desk, and followed him down the short hallway. When we stepped inside, he closed the door slowly, deliberately, as though sealing us inside a vault. The blinds were already drawn. The air smelled faintly of cologne and freshly printed documents. Adrian didn't sit. Instead, he stood by the window with one hand in his pocket and the other idly tracing the sill, like he was arranging his thoughts before placing them on the table. "I have a business proposition for you," he said finally. Blink. "Excuse me." He turned, facing me fully. "I've been in business long enough to know that appearances matter. To investors, to competitors, to the board. They want to see stability. They want to see the image of a man who has it all. The home, the family, the perfect life." I stayed silent, unsure where this was going. "I want you to be my wife," he said. It was so blunt, so free of preamble, that my mind needed several seconds to catch up to my ears. "You what?" "On paper," he clarified, impatience barely softened by professionalism. "A legal arrangement. 2 years. Only my attorney and I will know the full terms. You, me, and your son Lucas. You'd attend events with me, smile for photographs, appear to be a family. In return, I'll compensate you enough to ensure you and your boy are financially secure for the foreseeable future." I stared at him like he'd just announced he was from another planet. "This is absurd," I said. He nodded, as though expecting that exact reaction. "I understand it's not a typical offer, but it's mutually beneficial. You're intelligent, presentable, and believable. Why me?" His mouth curved, not into a smile, but into something unreadable. "Because you don't ask questions you already know the answer to." My knees felt unsteady. I didn't know whether to be insulted, afraid, or both. He opened the office door and stepped aside. "I'll need your answer by tomorrow." I walked out in a daze, the click of the door behind me sounding far too final. My co-workers looked up, then quickly dropped their eyes to their screens. I sat back at my desk, hands hovering over my keyboard, staring at numbers I could no longer make sense of. That night, after tucking Lucas into bed and watching him cling to his worn-out stuffed bear, the question kept gnawing at me. What would it take for a woman to sell her last name to a man she barely knew? And could I become her? The memories came uninvited. A different man, a different kind of promise. Ethan Cole. My first love. My only love, if I was honest. I was 19 and still half a girl, full of open windows and daydreams. He was 24, golden-skinned, easy grin, and the kind of recklessness that felt like freedom until it didn't. When I told him I was pregnant, the warmth drained from his face. "You did this on purpose, didn't you?" was the first thing he said. I tried to explain. We'd been careless only once, I'd been sick and missed a pill. But he wasn't listening. He took out his wallet, pulled $200 bills, and tossed them on the counter. "Take care of it." It was like the air had been punched from my lungs. "You're not serious," I whispered. He shrugged. "Your body, your problem. Don't drag me into this." I begged him, stupidly, pathetically. I told him we could make it work, be a family. He laughed. "We can't even pay rent, Marina. You think we can raise a kid?" Then he walked out. I hid the pregnancy for almost 3 months. Baggy clothes. Excuses about a stomach flu. But morning sickness doesn't last forever. One afternoon, my father came home from his second shift and started frying fish. The smell hit me hard. I bolted to the bathroom and emptied everything in my stomach. When I came out, he was waiting, concern written deep into the lines on his face. "Are you sick?" Broke. Collapsed into his arms, sobbing. "I'm so sorry, Papa. I didn't mean to. I didn't know what to do." He didn't yell, didn't scold. He just held me, his rough hand stroking my back. "Don't say sorry, Mija," he whispered. "You're not alone. We'll figure it out." The next day we told my mother. That was harder. Rosa was sharp-tongued and even sharper-eyed. She called me reckless, said no man would want me now. But she didn't throw me out. She cooked for me, made sure I ate, rubbed my back when I couldn't sleep. Her love had edges, but it was still love. Lucas was born on a cool October Wednesday. My father took the day off to be there. He cried when the nurse placed Lucas in my arms. 3 months later he was gone. A heart attack at work, no warning. Everything after felt like moving through fog. Bills piled up. Mama sold her jewelry. I went back to work before I was ready. And now Adrian Varela, powerful, controlled, unreadable, was offering me money to pretend to be his wife. I didn't decide that night. But when morning came and I saw the half-empty formula can, the stack of unpaid bills, and Mama's tired eyes over the stove, I knew the answer. The next day I walked into his office. "I'll do it," I said. Adrian didn't react with surprise when I accepted. Only the smallest shift in his shoulders, like a man checking off a line item on a to-do list. "Good," he said. "There will be conditions." "Of course. I have mine too." I cut in before I lost my nerve. His brows lifted slightly. "No physical relationship. No expectations beyond appearances. Lucas stays with me at all times. And no one outside of us and your attorney knows. Not even my mother." He studied me for a long moment, then nodded once. "Agreed. I'll have the paperwork drawn up." It felt surreal, like I was handing over not just 2 years of my life, but the last pieces of the story I thought I was meant to live. We had the civil ceremony that Friday. No dress, no flowers, no vows. Just signatures, the faint scent of pen ink, and a silence that weighed more than words. When it was done, Adrian handed me a check. The amount made my fingers tremble. "You'll move in Monday. A driver will pick you up." That weekend, I packed Lucas's clothes with unsteady hands. Mama helped, but I could tell she didn't understand why we were leaving so suddenly. I didn't have the courage, or the shame, to explain. Monday morning, a sleek black car idled at the curb. I kissed Mama goodbye and held her longer than usual. She hugged Lucas tightly, whispering something into his curls that I couldn't quite hear. When I slid into the car with my son in my lap, I didn't feel like a bride or a wife. I felt like someone stepping across a line she couldn't uncross. The Varela estate was less a house and more a statement carved into the hills behind a wrought iron gate. Every hedge trimmed to mathematical precision. Not a single leaf out of place. Inside, we were met by a housekeeper named Alida, who gave me a polite smile before showing us our wing. 3 bedrooms, a private bath, a sitting room, even a nursery already painted soft gray, stocked with brand new furniture and a mobile hanging over the crib. I should have felt grateful. Instead, I felt like a guest in someone else's life. The first few weeks settled into an odd rhythm. I still worked part-time at the company, reporting to a different manager, keeping my head down. Adrian and I rarely saw each other outside of the twice-weekly dinners he insisted we share in view of the staff. At the table we played our roles. He'd ask about work. I'd tell him Lucas was teething. We'd clink glasses for no reason. It was rehearsed like a scene we both knew the lines to. But then there were moments I didn't expect. The night I mentioned offhand that I missed having a rocking chair in Lucas's room, and 2 days later, one appeared beside his crib without a word. The evening I caught Adrian standing just outside the nursery door, listening while I sang Lucas to sleep, slipping away silently when I turned. He never pried about my past. never corrected me in front of others. And that quiet respect was dangerous, because kindness is the most seductive thing when you've been lonely long enough. Then came the night of the gallery event, our first true public appearance as Mr. and Mrs. Varela. The dress arrived that afternoon in a flat white box, midnight blue satin with soft pleats and a modest neckline. On top, a note in his handwriting. "You'll look perfect in this." I nearly didn't wear it, but curiosity, or something dangerously close to hope, made me slip it on. When I came down the stairs, Adrian was adjusting his cufflinks by the front door. He looked up, and for the first time since we met, he didn't say anything. Just stared. "Too much?" I asked, smoothing the fabric. His voice was lower than usual. "No. Exactly right." The gallery was all glass and chrome and expensive champagne. Cameras flashed the moment we stepped from the car. I clung to his arm at first for show, but kept holding it because the noise was overwhelming. He played his role effortlessly. Hand at my back, warm laughter at the right moments, introducing me to investors like I'd always been there. And every time our eyes met, there was something unspoken. Later on the terrace overlooking the river, I teased, "And I help you stay believable." He studied me for a beat. "You do more than that, Marina. You make me seem human." I didn't know how to answer. The silence on the drive home was different. Not awkward, charged. When we parked, he stayed still, one hand on the wheel. "I wasn't always like this," he said. "Cold. Calculated. There was a time I believed in things like love and loyalty. But life has a way of teaching you not to." I surprised myself by telling him, "I thought Ethan loved me once." But when I told him I was pregnant, he disappeared. Adrian's jaw tightened. "Then he's a fool." I gave a small, sad smile. Sometimes I wonder if I was the fool for believing him. "I don't think you're foolish," he said quietly. "I think you're stronger than you realize." And then he leaned in. The kiss was tentative, searching, as though we were both testing the edges of something fragile. I wish the quiet could have lasted. But then came the gala. I told myself I didn't want to go because Lucas had a low fever, or because Mama was tired, or because the green silk gown Adrian sent was too elegant for someone who still did her own laundry. The truth. I was afraid of ruining whatever was forming between us. But I went. The ballroom was all crystal chandeliers and polished marble. We'd been there less than half an hour when the air shifted for me. A sinking in my gut, the old warning that something was about to hurt. I saw him before I even registered his name in my mind. Ethan Cole. His hair was shorter, his face a little older, but the smirk was the same. Easy, careless, like the world owed him something. My fingers gripped Adrian's arm too tightly. "What's wrong?" he murmured. "We have to go," I whispered. "Please, Adrian." "Now." He didn't ask. He simply covered my hand with his and led me toward the exit. We were almost there when I heard it. Marina. Froze. He was standing there with a drink in his hand, smiling like this was some casual run-in at a grocery store. "Wasn't sure it was really you. You look incredible." Before I could answer, Adrian stepped in, calm but firm. "Is there a problem?" Ethan extended a hand. "Ethan Cole. An old friend." "Adrian Varela," my husband said evenly. "Her husband." The word landed like a stone. Ethan's smile faltered before recovering. "Husband, huh? Didn't see that coming." "I'm sure you didn't," I said, my voice sharp. "We were just leaving." He leaned slightly toward me. "You never told me. Is the kid mine?" Adrian's tone dropped an octave. "That's enough." Ethan smirked, hands raised. "Just asking." I pulled Adrian's hand and walked out without another word. 2 days later the text came. "We should talk. I have a right to know." The old me would have ignored it until it faded. But I wasn't her anymore. I didn't tell Adrian. This was mine to finish. We met at a coffee shop downtown, busy enough that I wouldn't feel trapped. Ethan was already there, wearing sunglasses indoors, grinning like nothing had changed. Damn, he said when I sat down. You really went all in, fancy house, rich husband. You look comfortable. I'm not here for your commentary, I said flatly. Say what you came to say. I want to know if he's mine. Lucas. No. You're sure? Yes. He let out a short, humorless laugh. You always could lie when you had to. My hands stayed folded. You left. Not just me. You left the child you didn't even know yet. You made your choice the day you threw cash on the counter and told me not to drag you into my problems. His expression flickered. I was scared. We both were. I was 19, I said. And I stayed. I raised our son alone. No calls. No visits. Not even an apology. He looked away. I'm trying now. It's too late, I said softly. Lucas has a father. One who shows up every single day. You don't get to walk in now because you're bored or curious or jealous. For a second, something real cracked through his mask. He blinked. His voice was smaller when he said, I'd like to meet him. I leaned forward, my voice steady. No. You gave up that right the moment you walked out the door. And I stood, leaving him with nothing but the sound of the coffee grinder and a lifetime of consequences he'd chosen for himself. Thanks for listening, but remember, some stories linger long after they end. If you want more tales that keep you looking over your shoulder, subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on notifications. We've got more coming, and trust me, you won't sleep easy after the next one.